Welcome to our first edition of Smoke Signals. I'm Matt Montgomery, along with head football coach and athletic director Wayne Coleman. Jacksonville at home to kick off the 2017 season against Pine Tree at Tomato Bowl. Coach, it seems like we were just here yesterday as Fightin Indians were in the playoffs and playing A&M Consolidated, and you had a very successful offseason again. Tell our viewers a little bit about that, and also you went to state again in 7-on-7.
Yeah, it was a good 9 months off for us. Kids did a lot of work in the weight room. The spring was really good. Kids got bigger and stronger. In the summer, we had over 100 kids every day in the weight room working out. And then, of course, the skill kids qualified for the state 7-on-7 tournament again. So we're real happy with the off season. You
know, you qualified for that a couple of years ago, and it was kind of a big deal because it never happened before. And then you come right back and do it again. And I know that's what you want. You want the kids to expect to qualify for the state tournament because they get the experience of seeing these other schools, and it's just good for the kids.
Yeah, it's you know, as your program gets developed, your expectations have to change. The longer we have this continuity going, the program stays the same. The kids get familiar with the process. Your goals and your expectations are definitely going to raise each year.
Of course, you've been in camp a couple of weeks now. You spent the first week, and maybe it's the third week here. You've spent the first week in shorts, and then you put the pads on. Overall impression of where you think your team is right now as we open the season this Friday?
We're way ahead of where we have been. We've got several kids that are returning starters, and we've got several kids that are going to be in their third year as a starter. Mm-hmm. So when you've got that kind of experience and leadership, your camps seem to go a lot better.
Yeah. One of the things I've noticed in practice is there's some continuity on the defensive side of the ball. When you can look over there and you can see the guys that have the headdresses already on their helmets, and there's like 5 or 6 of them. Mm-hmm. Over there. You've got some returning starters, 8 as a matter of fact, on the defensive side of the ball. And I know a defensive coordinator, Kenny Kennedy's happy to see a lot of those guys back.
Yeah, and 3 or 4 of those guys are going into their third year. So, I mean, they've already played 21 games on the varsity level. So those kids know what they're doing. They know the expectation level, and we feel real confident about them this year.
Offensively, a lot of guys you got to replace. Obviously, Cam High was MVP of 17-5A last year, and Dontrell Sessions is going to be stepping in at quarterback. You also have some other young men as well. You seem pretty solid, though, Coach, offensively, especially at the running back position.
Yeah, we've got some depth there at running back. D. Spencer played a lot of running back last year. Scooter Baker played a lot of running back last year. And then T.J. Ratliff moved in from Elysian Fields, and he was a running back over there. So we're real excited about our running back position.
One of the strengths of the team since you've been here has been the offensive line, and it's still strong, but the numbers are a little bit down. So we were talking about that, how it's just kind of flip-flop where you don't have as many linemen on as you've had in the past to pick from on depth.
Right. We're a little lean there. Last year, if you'd gone out to practice, you would have looked around and said, wow, you got a lot of linemen and not very many skill kids. Mm-hmm. And this year, it's the exact opposite. We're loaded at the skill position and a little lean on the offensive line, so we've got to be smart how we use those kids. And we've got to ask a few kids to look at playing both ways, which you don't like to do with the line group, but that's a sacrifice some kids have to make for the team.
You know, it's the first game Friday night. It's the Friday Night Lights at Tomato Bowl. A lot of these young men that haven't played at Tomato Bowl, it's a new experience for them, and thank goodness you do have a lot of experience coming back, some of these 3-year guys. You know, you had a scrimmage last week against Bullard. You only ran very few plays because it's a scrimmage. Your third year in Jacksonville now, as you go into this first game, I know that you continue to add to the offense because you're an offensive guy and you're starting to add more to it. How much different of an offense will we see than what we've seen the last couple of years now that the program is starting to mature into what your system is?
Yeah, you got to be careful about having too much offense. You can only practice so much, so you got to be real selective, and you've got to play to your kids' strengths. Yeah. And our quarterback this year, his strength is throwing the football. So we spent a lot of time in the off season developing route concepts that'll complement the rest of our offense that we already had in place. We're not going to change much in the running game. We just needed to add some stuff to air it out a little bit.
I mean, aren't most high school offenses personnel driven? I mean, you're going to do who can do what?
They should be, and I think most of the time when you see the real successful programs, they'll keep their base part of their offense, but they'll tweak it to complement what they've got coming back each year. So last year, we had a quarterback that could run the zone read really well, and we played to that strength. And this year, our quarterback is more of a passer, and we're going to play to that strength.
Coach, somebody has been asking me about Dontrell Session throwing the ball, and I got to tell you, we haven't had a quarterback. Jacksonville has not had a quarterback with that strong arm, in my opinion, especially the deep ball. I got to go back to Luke McCown in the late 90s.
Yeah, he throws a really pretty deep ball. He can throw the deep out route. He does some things really well as a passer. And not only that, he's just a good student and a good person.
Yeah, he's going to really stretch the defense, which, as you said, one of the strengths is the running back, core of running backs that you have, and that should help the running game with him being able to stretch the defense. They're going to have to respect the deep ball.
Well, there's no doubt. Last year they loaded the box on us and brought their safeties down low to help on the run game. So we've got the ability this year with some speed out wide and with Dontrell's arm strength to take some of that pressure off of the run game.
Early in the season, I know that you, with special teams, you're looking for that guy or those two guys, the punters, the kickers, the deep snappers. You're looking for those guys that can gel. You've got a couple of guys to replace in Cesar Guerrero and Juan Nunez, two pretty quality all-district guys. How's that looking from the special team standpoint? Third of the ball game, you got to have that covered.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. We've got a strong soccer program here, so Coach Aramillo helps me find replacement kickers each year, and we've got 4 or 5 kids that have been coming down there working with us, Diego and Alejandro and Jonathan, and even some freshmen have been coming out and working with us. We'll be okay in the kicking department.
Coach, let's talk about Pine Tree coming in, opening the season at Tomato Bowl, and this is a Pine Tree team that you're familiar with. Kerry Lane, the head coach, you guys were at Gilmer together some and kind of know what each other's going to do a little bit, but last year was a barn burner. What do you expect this year out of the ball game?
It's going to be the same. They're going in their second year of their program. They're going to be much cleaner than they were last year. I know exactly where they're at. I'm only 1 year ahead of them in the program development, so I know how far you can come in that 1 year. We did it, and so I know how much improved they're going to be, and they've got a returning quarterback, so that even makes it better for them. They're kind of almost identical to where we were when we had Cam High returning for his senior year, and they've got a quarterback returning that's got a lot of experience now, so they're going to be much improved.
Yeah, and he's a big player. He's like 6'4", 210, 220, something like that. Big kid, and of course they have an outstanding receiver as well that you got to look out for.
Yeah, they've got a big quarterback, big receiver. They're just a big football team. They've got a couple linemen that are 6'4", 6'5". They've got, I think, 6 kids on their roster that are over 6'4".
Of course, the same schedule. Let's look ahead a little bit that you've had. You got Palestine, Mount Pleasant, Hallsville, and then Alvarado, and then you got the bye week. 17-5A is the same. I wanted to ask you about your impressions of the UIL rule that came out that with the realignment next year, 5A is going to be split just like the lower classifications, so that just leaves 6A not split. And if you could explain to our viewers what being split means and how that might benefit Jacksonville.
Right now, the way they do the 5A playoff picture is you play the entire season, and at the end of the season, they take the top 4 teams that finish in your district, and they say, okay, these 2 schools have the biggest enrollment. They're going to go play in the Division I bracket of the playoffs. The 2 smallest schools of the top 4 will play in the Division II bracket of the playoffs. Well, what they're going to do next year is they're going to divide it, and they're going to go ahead and divide those teams and say, okay, all of the districts in 5A will either already be a big Division I bracket or a Division II bracket. So what it means is rather than us playing with teams in our district that have 1,700 or 1,800 students, it'll drop the cutoff number down to around 1,500. So everybody in our district will be more close to our size. Corsicana, Ennis, those bigger schools will most likely move up to Division I, and we'll end up with smaller schools in our district.
We just don't know what the number cutoff is going to be yet. So, for example, had that system been in place last year, Jacksonville would not have played A&M Consolidated. They would have been in Division I, and Jacksonville would have been in Division II. They 1,800 plus students. So, but okay, well, thanks for explaining that. Now, let's get back to Pine Tree. Let's talk about the keys to the game against the Pirates.
Yeah, early season, it's almost always turnovers and kicking game. There's so many mistakes.
The game one's always weird.
Oh,
it's just a weird game. You
Yeah.
have to throw. It doesn't matter if you win by 30 or if you lose by 30. It's game one.
Yeah, there's going to be weird stuff happen all over the state in game one. I mean, you're talking about a bunch of teenage boys that who have had 2 or 3 weeks to prepare, and now they're going to be given a big test on Friday night. And
5,000 people watching them. Yeah.
So some of them are going to be ready for the test, some of them aren't. That's what makes you feel comfortable as a coach when you've got so many older kids, the leadership that we have.
Coach, it's been a tough week in Texas. I mean, we know that, and I know that we're just right on that line here in East Texas above that hasn't been affected, but down below us, it's been tough. And I know that there's a lot of things going on as far as trying to raise money and funds, some incredible things going on. And you had brought to our attention that the Texas High School Association is asking for help with the Hurricane Harvey disaster relief. Every high school football game in Texas is going to be taking collections at the games Friday night. Tell our viewers a little bit about how that will work at Tomato Bowl, because it's both sides, Pine Tree and Jacksonville.
Yeah, we'll have tables set up at the gate, so when the fans come in, if they want to drop $1 in the bucket, they can. And we'll try to get that money collected and send it into the Texas High School Coaches Association within a couple days, so that we can get that money down to the Houston area to help them with their relief.
Yeah, it's as I said, it's been a tough week. A lot of games rescheduled, and I guess a lot of those games, Coach, that I said rescheduled, they won't play them because you're in a 10-week frame there where you don't get to play those games, do you?
Yeah, it's it's unfortunate it's happening, but from a football scheduling standpoint, all the games this first week were non-district games. They don't have any playoff implications. So if it had to happen, this is the time you'd want it to happen. But what's going to happen now is there'll be some schools that actually will start district play next week, and they're going to go into district play without having played any games.
Yeah. Well, in light of what's happened, I mean, football's kind of like, not that big a deal.
Sure.
And of course, I know you know that. I'm just saying the obvious, but our hearts go out to them. And this is a great thing that every football game Friday night's going to be taken care of. So if you have an opportunity, there will be tables set out at the front, as Coach Coleman has said, it's Tomato Bowl to take those donations, and of course there will be one on the Pine Tree side as well. Well, Coach, good luck Friday night, and we look forward to it.
Thanks, Matt.
Fightin Indian football games will be on 94.3 FM this year. We'll get the link to you as soon as we know what that is. So it's kind of under construction. So for head coach Wayne Coleman, I'm Matt Montgomery. We'll see you next time right here on Smoke Signals.